Hi, welcome again to Gabie's Knit Goodies in my yarn dyeing vlog here. Today I'm actually going to dye some cotton yarn, which is an entirely different process than dyeing wool yarn. It requires soda ash as opposed to an acid like vinegar. So it's actually working with bases instead of acids. Neither are super strong and dangerous. However, soda ash can irritate your skin, so I wear gloves. And then the same thing with the dye powder as with the wool dye powder. You don't want to breathe it in, so you want to wear a mask when you're dealing with the actual powder part of it. And in some ways they're similar, so you can speckle with the dye powder, or you can make a solution and pour over, or you can make a dye bath. Today I think I'm going to do mostly speckling, and I have an order actually for a yarn shop that they want some of my yarn. I did a trunk show at Susan's Yarn Stash recently, and a couple of my yarn colorways, my cotton yarn colorways that I had there sold out, and so she wants some more to stock in her shop, which is very exciting. So I'm dyeing that today. Now cotton does take a lot longer to dye than wool does. Wool sets with heat, and so it's relatively quick, whereas cotton is it sets over time. One of the things I dislike about cotton is it doesn't always absorb all of the dye, and you have to wash it a lot afterwards to get any excess dye that hadn't adhered to the yarn out of it. Whereas wool dye, it can absorb and stick all of the dye in a dye bath and leave the bath totally clear. And yeah, so it's just a little, I don't know, I think dyeing with the protein fibers, the animal fibers, is just a little more fun because of the nature of it. But cotton is perfect for summer. So I'm dyeing, I'm dyeing 3 colorways for the yarn shop, and then I'm going to dye 1 colorway, I think, for my Etsy shop, maybe 2. I want to make the rota jumper out of my cotton yarn. Yeah. So, and possibly even the tie-side tank that I'm making out of my fingering weight peaches and cream. I kind of want to make that out of the cotton yarn too. I have 2 different bases here. I have a DK weight and an Italian Cupro fingering weight. So anyways, we will dye the yarn, see how it turns out. I feel like cotton's a little less predictable with the speckling and stuff than the wool. So I'm going to try to get close to the colorways I sent over for the trunk show. Yeah, it'll be fun. So it's time to reveal my yarn colorways and see how they're doing. They actually sat 24 hours to let the dye set well. Cotton yarn takes a while to set and to really adhere and absorb into the cotton fibers. So they have sat for 24 hours, and now I'm going to rinse them in cold water and then wash them to get all of the excess dye off. So here's what we have. We have the Asher colorway here, which is blue and orange and green and a little bit of black, and that's kind of a little more earthy. And then we have the Cotton Confetti, which I think is my favorite. It has bright yellow and orange and a little bit of blue and a little bit of fuchsia pink in there, and yeah, I like that one a lot. And then we have the pink, purple, and blue Berrylicious one, and yeah, I think that's turning out nicely. You never truly know how everything works out until you have rinsed it and washed it, and I can't wait to find out. Okay, so after I dyed the stuff for the yarn shop, for the cotton yarn, I got excited to dye some stuff for myself, and I've dyed something that's kind of deeper in cotton here with blues and blacks and some other little speckles and kind of purpley color in there. So I'm kind of excited about it. I have a couple of tops in mind that I want to knit for the summer, so crossing my fingers that these work out for it and have the look that I'm going for. But I did dye extra, so not just enough for my top, but enough to put in the shop. So if anyone else likes it, I do have that trouble with knitting things and then not having the yarn available in my shop for people who ask. So tried to dye enough so that at least a couple of people could also have something similar if you like it. So I will show it to you, but keep in mind this is still in the pot, it hasn't been washed, and also it's gonna, of course, morph and change a little bit as it goes through the finishing process of dyeing this cotton yarn. My lighting's not great right now, but this is the cotton confetti I was dyeing up, and it's drying. It has lots of little speckles. Here is the Berrylicious. Lighting's not great in here, but hopefully you can see the pinks, the speckles, the different tones, and the blues in there.